Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Uspumelele Zondi. Tonight we meet a hacker who has spent time in prison. We catch a ride on an electronic two-wheel scooter that was created purely just for fun. Our studio discussion is on women in technology in Africa and the Wired Women Conference. One of the speakers there is Enyo Kumaho. She's in studio for that one. On email, you can find us on SABC Network at SABC. It's News Network rather at sabc.co.za. News Network at sabc.co.za. On Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, SABC Network. Let's start with your social media and technology news. Cybercrime is a major problem in South Africa. While government is trying hard to fight it, the country is struggling with a shortage of expertise to fight cybercrime. Criselda Lewis spoke to one victim of cybercrime and a convicted criminal.
In a digital age where online communication has become the norm, internet users are increasingly becoming victims of cyber attacks. And South Africans are said to be topping the list of victims. Bonita Suckling is just one of the latest victims. Her email hacked and her world turned upside down. The public benefit organization helping others in honor of her son who died of cancer also destroyed.
My operation is at stake, but unfortunately I've had to close my public benefit organisation down, which means that I'm unable to offer any form of assistance to desperate families in rural areas that rely on me every single month. I cannot transfer any funds, I cannot pay any medical bills. There's absolutely nothing I can do to assist these families right now.
And experts paint a worrying picture of the trend.
It's claimed to have surpassed any other form of illegal money making, illegal arms dealing, illegal drug trafficking. All those things are now second and third to cybercrime.
SABC News tracked down a hacker. He was once convicted of stealing a large chunk of a major South African company's database.
Best feeling in life is to prove to people to do what they say you cannot do. All right. So I made several attempts prior to my hacking attempt to alert the individuals of their security flaws through telephones, through email, to show them that there are security vulnerabilities and the potential exploits and how it can be exploited from that point on. Those went unnoticed. So the next logical step is to show them that it can be done.
Now claiming to be a changed man, he says there are simply no systems in place to extensively curb the problem.
You can find under certain categories of cybercrime that there could well be a decrease in the number of incidents, but that the value in terms of the prejudice increase tremendously.
South Africa is set to tighten legislation around computer crime with the publication of a draft cyber bill. It seeks to introduce a range of new offences with explicit penalties for phishing attacks, distributing malware and committing identity fraud.
I guess we all need to be careful when we are doing our activities online. Now, MTN South Africa CEO Mteto Nyati has said that regulator ICASA should investigate WhatsApp. This is because the messaging and calling service uses data and charges almost nothing for the use of the service. What happens is that users then stop sending SMSs and making phone calls, which then hurts mobile network operators' businesses. ICASA says it has no intention to investigate the matter this year.
I do use WhatsApp mostly for texting and making calls. I prefer using WhatsApp because you can chat with a lot of people at one.
I feel like WhatsApp it's cheaper and WhatsApp is more convenient.
I prefer it over SMSs because it's convenient and it's very reasonable, especially for us students.
About 2 months ago.
That is the reason MTN South Africa CEO Mteto Nyati is saying the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, or ICASA, must investigate WhatsApp for offering almost free voice calls and text messaging. With WhatsApp, users have no reason to make phone calls and send SMSs, so they don't need to buy airtime. WhatsApp offers similar services, and all one pays for is the data they use, which means network service providers end up not making as much money as they would if people made phone calls or sent SMSs, as that requires airtime. And if users have access to Wi-Fi internet, then they pay nothing for the text or voice call they make via WhatsApp.
Having Wi-Fi, it's much easier to chat and to call and all that, you know.
Now there's WhatsApp calling, yeah? So you can use that whether you have a bit of airtime. There's also Wi-Fi hotspots. You can also use WhatsApp with Wi-Fi hotspots, yeah.
Like at school we use Wi-Fi, so it's much easy. And then you get the message quick.
In a telephone conversation, MTN told us that they have not filed a formal complaint with ICASA about this. ICASA sent us a statement saying it has no intention of investigating WhatsApp's over-the-top service in this financial year. So those using WhatsApp in South Africa can continue to pay next to nothing for calls and chats with their friends and family. Here to be Square and 3M held a competition that tested what they say is innovative spark in learners. The school kids had to come up with science ideas and innovations that will solve everyday issues.
And the winner is...
Meet Christella Neofitu and Nicholas Levendus from Northcliffe High School. They are the winners of this year's 3M and Hip to be Square annual science fair. They were chosen from 3 teams that made it to the final stage of the competition. This duo thought of solving our load-shedding problems. They've created electrical toothbrush that does not require electricity.
We discovered Faraday's law, which used this linear electromagnetic induction, and we applied it and connected it to a toothbrush head. It's powered by linear electromagnetic induction. So basically you shake it and you click the switch and it works.
The competition is open nationwide for learners in grades 9 and 10 and has been running nationally since 2002. The aim is to encourage learners to come up with innovative inventions that will solve their problems in their environment using maths and science principles.
Innovation is not something that necessarily stops and starts on a predetermined sort of time frame. It also doesn't mean that because you come from a poor or disadvantaged community that you necessarily cannot innovate. Innovation really is part of the fibre of who we are. Everybody has the necessary creativity. But I think it's important really to stimulate a lot more entrepreneurial development in South Africa.
Twitter is said to be retrenching employees. There's a study that shows that South Africans are more interested in social apps than anything else on their mobile devices. Here are some of the other tech news.
Audio Jungle. Hello and welcome to another edition of the SABC News Tech Wrap. We are coming to you from the Josie Hub.
Lebu, tell me, how many social apps do you have on your cell phone?
I'm thinking about 5 or so.
Well, that makes sense. According to research company Worldwide Works, social mobile apps are booming in South Africa.
The company's research, titled South African Social Media Landscape Study, notes how South Africans mainly download social applications on their smartphones. WhatsApp tops the list on Apple iOS and Android devices. However, WhatsApp came in 3rd position on downloads from the Windows Store, with Facebook being number 1. According to the report, Facebook grew by 8%, Twitter by 12%, YouTube by 15%. While photo-sharing network Instagram saw the biggest rise with 133%.
Now back to social media platforms. Some said news coming from Twitter Inc., which is said to be retrenching up to 8% of its workforce worldwide.
According to news reports by tech website Recode, Twitter sent out an email to staff members saying it will be laying off 336 people from across the company. The news comes after Jack Dorsey was appointed permanent chief executive earlier this month. The company employs about 4,100 people in more than 35 offices around the world.
Apple Inc. is in yet another patent war, only this time it's not with smartphone rival Samsung, but with the University of Wisconsin.
The company could be facing up to R1 billion in damages after a U.S. jury on Tuesday found the iPhone maker used technology owned by the University of Wisconsin-Madison licensing arm without permission in chips found in many of its most popular devices. Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation sued Apple in January 2014, alleging infringement of its '98 patent for improving chip efficiency. In September, the Research Foundation launched yet another lawsuit against Apple, this time targeting the company's newest chips, the A9 and A9X, used in the just-released iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, as well as the iPad Pro.
Well, while South Africans are trying out eco-mobility in Sandton, Johannesburg, a mechanic in central India has designed a car that runs on water and calcium carbide.
44-year-old Reese Makani spent over 6 months at his workshop to come up with a cost-effective, eco-friendly car. The car runs on acetylene gas, which is formed from a chemical reaction between calcium carbide and water. The gas is used for several industrial purposes, including welding and portable lighting for miners. Makani says the invention would come as a major relief to Indians who spend a lot of money on petrol.
Talking about cars, Singapore has formally launched the testing of driverless vehicles on public roads earlier this week.
The Singapore-MIT Alliance for Research and Technology, along with the National University of Singapore and the Agency for Science, Technology and Research, launched the self-driving car in effort to encourage residents to use more public transport and avoid further congestion on its roads. For security purposes, a person still needs to sit behind the steering wheel in case anything goes wrong.
From us this week. Join us again next week for another wrap of the most interesting tech stories doing the rounds. From us, it's bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Audio Jungle.
I can't wait for those driverless cars to hit the streets. And it's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, News Network at sabc.co.za and email. After the break, we talk about women in technology. And Yokumaho is already in studio to talk to us about that. Stay with us.
Looking for social issues?
It is not our intention to give condoms to 10-year-old children.
We are here to assist you. Looking for religious issues?
The point is not for the church to try and prove whether this is the fact.
So we want accountability. Is there a system of governance in your churches?
Political issues.
Barack Obama said Africa should stop looking to the outside for salvation and focus on someone else being at fault for the problems of the continent.
Economic issues.
The young mothers, single mothers that's buying property now.
Or just looking to air your views.
Yeah, some of your views on social media.
Look no further, as Newsroom has all the informative information you need. Weekdays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News channel.
Good. Point. Sit.
Get behind Rugby World Cup 2015 on SABC.
SABC Network, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back. We often hear a lot about how female gamers come under attack when playing. Let's take a look.
Yeah. Oh, no!
Video games such as this one have had some tongues wagging about graphic violence against women in some games. In December 2014, American retail giant Target recalled the 5th edition of popular video game Grand Theft Auto because of something similar.
You're looking at two facets of sexism. You're looking at harassment online against female gamers, as well as gender representation in games themselves. You know, it's not as equal as people think it should be. Females who play online, I think, get a lot more grief purely because they are female and they are, you know, presumed to be worse at games. Gaming is predominantly thought of as a male hobby, and because of that, you know, you get this nastiness online that really shouldn't be there just because you're a female who enjoys gaming.
Despite the harassment issues, female gamers face other challenges. Zoe Hawkins of online gaming publication LazyGamers.net feels that the gaming industry could be a bit more inclusive to the female gender in terms of marketing and content.
Now, women face a lot more challenges in the technology world, but there is a lot to celebrate too. Here on Network, we've previously told you about some women who are using technology to solve some of the continent's problems. All of this will be discussed at this year's Wired Women Conference, which is taking place on Friday, 23 October in Johannesburg. Joining us in studio to talk about this is Enyo Kumaho. She is the managing partner at the Cobalt Advisors. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network.
Pleasure to be here.
And could you just tell us about some of the other challenges that women are facing in technology, just to get the challenges out of the way?
Yeah, the challenges are definitely still there. Unfortunately, I remember reading a statistic probably about a year or 2 years ago that in South Africa, the population is 50% black women, but less than 1% of the software development industry is black women. So as you can imagine, there's just not a lot of experience in how to deal with those women in the workplace, and certainly how to build technology for those women. So there's still a large gap.
Do you find that there is enough training for women, or are they even interested in getting into those jobs?
Certainly they're interested. Of course they're interested. And it really starts from when they're girls. Of course they're interested. So while I was here in South Africa, there was actually a Black Girls Code program that actually trained girls on how to about computers and how to do programming, and they were very interested, but just not exposed to it in sort of everyday life. And so, yes, they're interested, and we should get them more involved.
You're in Ghana?
I am mostly in Ghana, yes.
Yeah, challenges different to what you found in South Africa?
Not different. And across the continent, and even outside, even in the United States, very similar challenges. So it's something that we're facing globally, and it's something that we really have to figure out how to make the IT world more accessible for women.
You spoke specifically about black women. Why specifically black women? Why don't you just group women as a whole?
Because each sort of group of women is very different. And so what I will think of as my needs would be different from a woman of a different sort of race or background. And so if there aren't enough people representing me in the tech field, then I won't be getting the solutions that I really need. So we need wide representation across women in the technology field, not just one group.
Let's talk about some of the problems that possibly could be solved if there were more women creating technology.
Yeah, one of the great apps that I saw in a competition probably about a year and a half ago was one to make shopping and sort of managing the household a lot more streamlined, so that you actually have more time to go into the workforce or to take care of children. And so that would be one that I would really enjoy. There are quite a number of apps around healthcare, because women do have special needs around that. I would like to see more apps around safety as well. And cybercrime, like we were talking about. So yeah, there's quite a number of applications, but we need the women to be involved, to think about the solutions and think about the problems we need to solve.
You've been at Wired Women before?
I have. This is actually my 3rd year.
Oh, what happens there?
Great conference. There's a number of women who are doing fantastically well in the tech field. It's one of those environments where there's a lot of sharing that happens, both women and men. And so you learn a lot about how to either morph your companies to be more accessible to women, and skills about how to get involved. So it's one of my favorite conferences.
You say men are also there.
Yes.
Why do they need to be a part of the conversation about women and technology?
Well, the change isn't going to happen from just women. It's also going to be from men. And there have been some great talks. In fact, one of the speakers 2 years ago talked about how he had modified his company and there were a lot more women in his company. And he found that his leadership style changed, became more empathetic and collaborative, and had bottom line benefits for his company. So the benefits are not really just for women, it's for all of us. And the more we can spend the time to figure out how to include women in the workforce, the better off we'll all be.
And do you find that, as experienced as you are in the technology space, when you walk into boardrooms, men listen?
Not all the time, no. So sometimes I'm sitting at the table and I'm quiet until they sort of figure out that it's the woman at the table who sort of has the answers they need. So we still have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that in Africa, that you are now in the African space, that men are listening and they're willing to open up those channels of communication with women in technology?
More so. It's definitely moved in the last 3 to 4 years. And yes, the conversation has increased. I think there's a lot of women in technology groups that have sprung up all around the continent, and that's fantastic. But that's still very much in the cities, and we're not seeing a lot of transformation within companies yet. And so once I think we see that, we'll get to a critical mass of seeing some change.
And ownership of companies, that's also quite important.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, let's talk about that a bit.
Very much.
In terms of like women owning tech companies, are we seeing an increase in that, or is it still very much stagnant?
Not yet. I mean, there are definitely quite a number of women who are starting their own tech companies, but some of the tech companies that have been around for 10, 20, 30 years are still quite closed. I'd like to see more women on boards. I haven't heard of enough women even on boards of those companies, but definitely a change would be good. I mean, I myself just acquired a company that's been around for 15 years. And I think, you know, when we start looking at bottom line, even me being there, and we've now got some more women sort of developers involved, it really has changed the culture of the company. And so I'd like to see more of that happening.
All right, Enyo Kumaho, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right. Enyo Kumaho is going to be speaking at Wired Women on Friday, the 23rd of October in Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, tonight we catch up with SABC 3 High Rollers actress Zakia Patel. She is also in a new movie called The Jakes Are Missing. The 2013 Strictly Come Dancing winner tells us about her favorite piece of technology.
I don't think you guys heard me properly. We all took equal risks. You guys said yourself if I was caught, I'd never work as a dealer again.
Well, yes, but...
33 and a third.
Excuse me?
My name is Zakia Patel, and my favorite gadget is definitely my phone, which is Samsung, which might be changing to an iPhone, but whatever it is, it has to be a phone because of Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, the things that keep me connected to the world. I was overseas recently, and I wasn't connected as much as I'd like to be, and I felt like I was missing a limb.
A three-way split. That's what I deserve, and that goes for next time, too.
I didn't know there was going to be a next time.
Yeah, this was our maiden run. Equal shareholders in a new and exciting enterprise.
On Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Let's take a short break. Stay with us.
We ask tough questions.
Have you spoken to the president about resigning?
We ask hard questions.
What you're trying to do requires a lot of money, and you don't have money.
We ask quick questions.
A quick one. You are aware that the PAC has now been banned by the IEC?
I'm aware.
And you're also aware that it has been banned because of you?
We ask good questions.
Are you an infiltrated organization?
We also ask funny questions.
Is it safe to eat your chicken?
All the questions, all the time, right here on Question Time, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m.
Your World makes it its business every evening to round up the leading local stories and international news to keep you informed all the time.
Make a date with Your World every evening for all the news headlines around the world to keep you abreast with knowledge.
Catch Your World for headlines across the world every Monday to Friday from 9 p.m, then Saturday and Sunday from 7 p.m.
Good. Boy. Sit.
Get behind Rugby World Cup 2015 on SABC.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. You probably have seen the electronic two-wheel balance scooter in social media pages of celebrities like Nigeria's P-Square, American Chris Brown, Canadian Justin Bieber, and even South African rapper Casper Nyovest. The skateboard-like scooter is even featured in a new music video by rapper K.O. Recently, Dinilo Hlanga Mekuto got a chance to catch a ride on one of them. He likes it, but many say the price is steep for what it is.
As the festive season approaches, many are looking for the perfect Christmas gift, and this could be one of the most wanted gifts this season. Eddie couldn't resist trying out the e-board, but he still thinks it's a bit pricey.
Felt like a little kid learning to walk again, I guess. At first I couldn't balance, but later on got the gist of it. And yeah, a few tricks and skills. I thought it's something that's cool, but not costing more than 4,000 Rand.
Core is an entrepreneur from Cape Town. His company, eBoards, is one of the importers of this gadget.
So it's technically called the two-wheel self-balanced electric scooter. We call it the eBoard. It works on the same technology as a Segway, where the way you lean or where your balance goes, that's where the wheels will follow you, basically. So it's trying to constantly keep you in balance, and by you pushing yourself off balance, it keeps you moving where you're going.
After spinning around in circles for a while, within a minute, I was slowly moving forward. To my surprise, I got the hang of it within 4 minutes.
And who is it for? Who's your target market?
Boys and their toys. Kids of all sizes. It's a fun thing to play around with, and because it's so intuitive, you get the hang of it very quickly.
If you love attention and have about 7,000 rands to spare this festive season, this could be money well spent.
Right, that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Magic mirrors, mobile body fat scanners, and dancing robots are just some of the cool gadgets featured at Japan's Tech Fair earlier this week. We leave you with visuals from there. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good one.
SABC News.